Hello, welcome back to Colonise. This one's probably just going to be for Chick, but we're going to take a quick look at energy. So this is something I've been working on the past day or so. Um, it kind of just works, which is something that I impressed myself with. So if we go ahead and build, and we go to our energy tab, which was previously empty, we have the solar panel, the wind turbine, and the battery. So if we build a solar panel and a wind turbine, nothing much changes in game visually. If we can look at it and we can see that the solar panel generates between 10 and 30 energy units. The turbine produces between 20 and 40. They're using like 1 unit of resources per tick or two resources per tick. Nothing much happening there. So let's build a battery. So we get some information. We have a new panel that's unlocked, and if I click on the battery, it tells us that our maximum energy capacity has gone up by 500. So, energy panel. We just inform the player that EU/tick, it means energy units per tick, and we tell them that energy ticks occur every 5 seconds. So EU generated, so this is what's been generated in the last tick, and we're noticing this number's changing. That's because, if you noticed before, solar panel generates between 10 and 30, and the turbine generates between 20 and 40. So that means the number is variable. It changes. So this number should reflect that, and it does. It's correct. We see our EU required, so each building now will either have an an energy generator script on it or an energy spender script on it. Some of them will have both, but I generally consider buildings either energy generators or energy spenders. Now, solar panel and the wind turbines, they're obviously generators. They're creating energy. The living dome, it technically is both. So to get the player started, we want the player to have a little bit of energy just immediately, just to get them going, so they don't have to worry about energy as the first thing they build. It should be like the second or the third thing they build. But if we go to something like a Xenominer, this is very much an energy spender. It just spends energy. And as you can see, the EU requires gone up to 9 EU per tick, so that it actually uses 8 energy units a tick. It doesn't generate any energy, it just spends it. So the game takes a look at the generated and the required and compares them every tick. If the generated is higher than the required, the game's fine. It looks at the number, and it says if it's got any spare EU per tick that in that last tick, it then puts it into storage. As long as that storage is not full. In the moment, EU storage is full. If the required EU is above the generated EU, it will alert the player, and then it will try and take energy from storage. If it's got energy in storage and that meets the requirement, then you're fine. However, if you run out of storage and your requirement is higher than your generation, then buildings will start to randomly be disabled. So hopefully if we go ahead and disable some structures, we should hopefully get information that you're using more energy than you are producing. So it's quite a clear information to the player. And because the warning panel lasts 4 seconds, or 5 seconds, sorry, and so does a tick, this takes us almost always up. I need to tweak it. But here we can see the EU generated is 6 EU per tick. That's because a living dome generates 6. But the EU requires 9. And what it's actually doing now is it's using the storage. And you can see here, every 5 seconds, it's going to use like 4 or 5. And just slowly tick over. Eventually, once you reach 0 on the storage, you're gonna have buildings start being disabled, and we'll throw up a warning on the screen saying this building has been disabled due to energy needs. Now we do have kind of an order, so we only disable energy spenders. So a Xenomine here would be the first thing to be disabled. We also try not to disable living domes because generally they generate enough power to power themselves and a little bit extra. So they should never be disabled in theory. And I don't think you would ever disable a battery because batteries don't spend energy, they just hold it. So yeah, those are kind of like the safe havens. Energy generators won't be disabled. There's no good reason to disable a generator unless there's a worker need. For example, we might have a generator with like a power plant, like a nuclear power plant, for example, that will require workers inside them. But if you need those workers elsewhere, you might be able to disable the power plant and then, that kind of thing. So we do want to have the option for players to enable and disable things. You also consider that the maintenance cost isn't taken away if you disable it. So this maintenance cost here is not being taken away. So yeah, it's just kind of things to be aware of. And you can see things are kind of happening. And hopefully if I re-enable some structures, this warning should disappear. And it does. And that's because we're no longer having an energy issue. And that's it. Energy's actually it's come across and come together really quickly, and it's actually really quite a simple system. We perform a number check every 5 seconds. If we don't meet the requirements, then we start disabling buildings. If we do meet requirements, then we just continue and we wait for another 5 seconds. And that's energy. There's no kind of proximity for wires or anything like that. It's just everything's on the same network, and I'm not worried about proximity right now. It might be something we do in the future, but for now, everything is just either on or it's off. That's the kind of thing. So yeah, that's the energy system. So I recorded this quite quickly. I've just recorded a kind of a second look video for this build, and that will be coming up with all of the changes since built the first look video. So that's building material generators like the 3D printer, the masonry, all the energy stuff you just saw, some of the other UI passes like this panel had a pass today, naming colonies and multiple save files, post-processing, all that stuff's been done in the past week or so. And the decorations thing, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's where we're at with energy and Colonise, looking pretty good. There's one more thing I want to do for this build in terms of systems, which is the material trading system. But I'm not fully sure how it's going to work yet, so I might leave it and go with the other thing that I really, really wanted to do, which was the building model pass, and start passing some buildings, especially like the living dome. That's the main offender for me. The living dome is something that doesn't look like its description. Xeno miner looks like a miner. The solar panel looks like a panel. Turbine definitely looks like a turbine. Even this energy battery just looks like it could be an energy battery. So yeah, that's where we're at, and we will catch you next time.